And joining us right now, once again, is our friend, the one and only Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst, best-selling author, of course. And welcome, Judge.
Stevie, always a pleasure to be with you, my dear
it's
friend.
always
Certainly
great.
Enough to talk about.
Yeah, there is enough to talk about. Why don't we start in our own home state, if we can? You're from New Jersey, and I live in New Jersey. I don't know where you're from. We both live in New Jersey.
Yeah, I was born in Newark.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, my dad, may he rest in peace, was born in Jersey City. But that was a long time ago. But I live in Bergen County, and I pay the taxes to prove it.
Yeah.
And you know what amazes me with this whole you know what the real Christie scandal is to me is that all along he's against the DREAM Act that passed in Jersey, this in-state tuition discounts for illegal kids, and then he claims, no, I was never against it. We just never had the money. And now he signs the bill. So what he's saying is we have the money all of a sudden. Well, I would have liked to have gotten some of that money in the form of tax relief. I mean, I don't get where he found the money.
I don't know where he found the money either, but I think he has a serious credibility problem. But even before the bridge, he's not governing the state of New Jersey in the best interests of New Jerseyans. He's governing the state of New Jersey in a manner that he thinks will either help him win the Republican primaries in the Midwest or a general election that he plans on being in 2016. And that's not fair.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. So what about this this Bridgegate? I mean, I'm not a fan of his for the reasons you stated. To me, he's not conservative enough. He flipped. Maybe he never really was, but led me to believe he was. But having said that, I think, again, if he told the truth at the press conference, then I think no harm done, despite what the media is doing here to try, every word he says, while they leave Obama alone for bigger scandals, more important scandals, while they leave Hillary alone for Benghazi, even though the report yesterday came out and said the State Department never responded to a request for more security. But nobody's saying, let's find Hillary, let's get a response from Hillary. But where do you think this all will leave Christie in the end?
I think he painted himself into a corner with that epic press conference last week. I think his denials were so certain and severe and all-encompassing and watertight that the slightest little bit of evidence to show that he knew about this and encouraged it or ordered it or looked to the other way, and he'll be cooked as a national candidate and perhaps even forced from office. Now, if I could have been at that press conference, which would have been awkward for me because I've known him and known him well for years, but nevertheless I have a job to do. So if I'd been there, I would have asked just 3 or 4 questions. Governor, if I may, Steve, Governor, you have known Senator Bill Baroni for 10 or 12 years. You appointed him as the number 2 person at the Port Authority. That job is the 4th highest paying job in government in New Jersey. He makes twice what you do. And suddenly he quits. And you didn't ask him why? He gave testimony under oath, which now appears false. You didn't ask him the origin of this lane changing. I would have asked the same questions of him with respect to David Wildstein, and I would have asked him a similar question with respect to David Sampson, who's the chairman of the Port Authority, a very well-respected lawyer, founder of a fine law firm, former Attorney General of New Jersey, talks to Governor Christie 5 or 6 times a day, and is involved in many of these emails complaining that Patrick Foy, the director of the Port Authority, is leaking things about the inner decisions to close down those lanes. You're trying to tell us that you didn't speak to him either? It's inconceivable you didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, all very good questions, and we're going to have to await the answer. By the way, folks, we're talking to Judge Andrew Napolitano. You could read his columns at judgenap.com. And how's the book doing?
Well, my next book is done. It comes out in
that's right. It's coming out
June.
Yeah, right.
And
soon.
The working title is Suicide Pact.
Wow.
The Constitution and the Radical Expansion of Presidential Power after 9/11. I look at all of George W. Bush's executive orders and all of Barack Obama's executive orders, which are far worse, and compare them to federal law and compare them to the Constitution and find them all very lacking.
With his threat to use the pen the past couple of days in succession, you might have to write a new chapter before it even comes out.
Very, very scary that he is going to rewrite law on his own. I mean, think about it, Steve. When he told insurance companies right after Thanksgiving, after the colossal failure of the opening of Obamacare, delay the onset of the new gold standard policies for a year. Disobey the law. I'm telling you, disobey the law and give the old policies for another year. He's encouraging lawlessness on his own as if he's a king. And yet members of Congress, a couple of Democrats and mainly Republicans, introduced legislation to delay the onset of the gold standard policies. He threatened to veto it.
Yep.
But this is lawlessness, the likes of which I've never seen in the modern era coming out of the White House, at least since the Nixon days.
Very, very frightening. And John Boehner actually responded today, I think, with a tweet to the effect of, "We have a Constitution." Well, do something about it. But let me move on. Speaking of 9/11 and post 9/11 and where we are today, and Eric Holder now has basically, well, he's done a lot of things. But one of the things, he's been criticized on race. Today he's issuing directives about racial profiling, and don't use racial profiling anymore in any way, shape, or form, even on cases of terrorism. But I want to go to our schools for a minute, Judge, because I know education is a very big issue with you, and it is for me. I have a 14-year-old son. Basically, Eric Holder issued new guidelines, discipline guidelines to schools, public schools all around the country, and said, if a minority student does something wrong, don't call the police, send them to the principal's office, because otherwise you're creating a path that will lead that child eventually to prison. Now, to me, that is racist. It's insane, and it has to be, although it was just a suggestion, there has to be some illegality to it as well.
Well, look, it's absolutely violative of numerous federal and state laws for anybody to make decisions based on race that overtly and substantially treat people differently because of their skin color, whether it is a benign purpose or an insidious purpose. The government does not have race on its menu of choices. That's problem number one. Problem number two, you have the chief law enforcement officer of the land telling state officials to break federal and state law. That's absurd. Problem number three, there's nothing in the Constitution, and I know there are many laws in which the federal government has given itself authority over schools. There's nothing in the Constitution about the federal government having anything to do with education. I wish the states would tell the feds to go take a hike, not even take their money, because of the strings that comes with it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. Okay, Judge, I know you're in Washington today for the Fox News channel, and we appreciate it. And we'll have you back soon, and we'll talk about down the road your book, Suicide Pact. Very excited about seeing that one when it comes out.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Judge. Judge Andrew Napolitano, ladies and gentlemen, Fox News senior judicial analyst, best-selling author, and you could read all of his columns at www.judgenap.com. Very interesting. And this Holder stuff is insane. Just insane. Dangerously insane. All right, folks, we're going to come back as we always do. And when we do come back, we are going to be joined, I do believe, by Christopher Hahn. Yes, live. Christopher Hahn, Democratic political commentator. And we'll have a lot to talk about with him. All of that straight ahead, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve